Hey YouTube, Twig here, bringing you all my Megalith Yugioh deck profile for February 2020. This is one of the new decks that was released in the Ignition Assault booster pack. A very interesting deck for those of you that are fans of the ritual archetype in Yu-Gi-Oh! Definitely a different take on what you can do for ritual monsters, and the fact that you don't actually use any ritual spells for this ritual deck, instead using ritual monsters to summon out other ritual monsters. And we got a good number of Megalith monsters for the deck as a whole. I think we'll be getting more support in the next booster pack as well, so definitely can't wait for that support. But the main focus of the deck is to summon out the different level 4 and 8 Megalith monsters we have to go for some pretty big plays, just consistently spamming out the monsters with all the other different ones in the deck. So let's go ahead and get started with the deck profile. So for the lower level Megalith monsters, I run 3 Megalith Ophiel. You can ritual summon this card with a Megalith card, and if this card is ritual summon, you can add 1 Megalith monster from your deck to your hand, except for Ophiel. And during your main phase, you can activate this effect, ritual summon 1 ritual monster from your hand by tributing monsters from your hand or field, including this card on your field, whose total levels equal or exceed the level of the ritual monster. And you can use this effect of Ophiel once per turn. So I ran 3 of this card being your searcher. I'd say it's very important in the deck just for setting up all of your different plays. So you definitely want just the option to be able to search out monsters, so you don't really minus yourself too hard with the overall ritual cost that you do with the deck. So being able to search out for this card, and also for the fact that it is a level 4 monster, means you have enough power to go off for let's say exceed plays or just extra deck plays in general. Definitely the rank 4 exceed plays are a big part in the deck, since we have a bunch of other different level 4 Megalith monsters to run. But the search option definitely makes Ophiel one of the best level 4 ones in the deck. I also run 3 Megalith Ak, I believe is how you pronounce the second part of the name. You can ritual summon this card with a Megalith card. If this card is ritual summon, you can draw 1 card, then discard 1 card, and during the main phase, quick effect, you can activate this effect, ritual summon 1 ritual monster from your hand by tributing monsters from your hand or field, including this card on your field, whose total levels equal or exceed the level of ritual monster. You can use this effect of Ak once per turn. The discard draw just helps to pretty much go through the deck very quickly, so you can grab cards you need for some of your other plays. You see a trend forming with the level 4 Megalith monsters being able to search out basically with discarding and drawing, and then also just being able to search out in general with cards like Megalith Ophiel. When we get to the higher level Megalith monsters, you'll see that they focus more on the ritual summoning by discarding themselves from the hand. But to finish off the level 4 Megalith monsters, I also run 2 Megalith Haggith. With this one, you can ritual summon this card with a Megalith card, and if this card is ritual summon, you can add 1 Megalith spell or trap from your deck to your hand, and during your main phase, you can activate this effect to ritual summon 1 ritual monster from your hand by tributing monsters from your hand or field, including this card. So it basically shares the same ritual effect while on the field, but also being able to search out a Megalith spell or trap. So the only reason I ran 2 of this card, because you have a good number of them, but in comparison to the different monsters, it's not as needed as Ophiel being able to search out the cards for monster wise, while Haggith, we have a field spell and some traps that you run in the deck for the Megalith cards. So if you already have those searches, the Haggith doesn't come in handy as, like I said, Ak or Ophiel will for some of your other plays. And then for the level 8 Megalith monsters, I run 3 Megalith Phalig. With this one, you can ritual summon this card with a Megalith card. You can discard this card to ritual summon 1 Megalith ritual monster from your hand by tributing monsters from your hand or field whose total levels equal or exceed its level. You can use this effect of Megalith Phalig once per turn, and monsters you control gain 300 attack and defense for each ritual monster in your graveyard. So the stacked effect for the ritual effect is a great boost for Phalig for sure. But also just being able to have the discard power is the main reason for the higher level Megalith monsters, because then it becomes your cost for the tributing of your other ones to go into your other ritual monsters and vice versa. So having these ones are basically like running the ritual spell, and then setting up the other Megalith monsters on your field also just helps, because then they have their own ritual effects that you can rely on for these cards. So just remember that for all the plays, and then just all the rituals you can do definitely helps to set up all the different ritual monsters in your graveyard for Phalig's stacked power effect. And for some of the other level 8, I run 2 Megalith Bethor. With this one, you can ritual summon this card with a Megalith card. You can discard this card to ritual summon a Megalith ritual monster from your hand by attributing monsters from your hand or field whose total levels equal or exceed the level. And if this card is ritual summoned, you can target cards your opponent control up to the number of ritual monsters with different card names in your graveyard and destroy them. You can use each effect of Bethor once per turn. I only run 2 of this card. The destruction effect definitely does come in handy, but it also is just an option for the destruction that you can easily search out this card with a bunch of your other Megalith cards. I keep going back to Ophiel, but it's just a very good card in the deck. And also, cards like Phallig are more of the powerhouse ones, while Bethor has the destruction effect, but attack and defense-wise, it does play more on the defensive part of the Megalith deck as a whole. And then to finish off the Megalith monsters, like I said, there are 6 total in the whole deck, so it is definitely one of the decks I've seen with the most ritual monsters you run. But to finish it off, I run 2 Megalith Aratron, with this one having the same ritual effect with a Megalith card. And you can discard this card to ritual summon 1 Megalith ritual monster from your hand by attributing monsters on your hand or field whose total levels equal or exceed its level. And your opponent cannot activate a card effect that targets a card you control. Quick effect, you can place 1 ritual monster from your graveyard on the bottom of the deck. If you do, negate that activation, and if you do, destroy it. So it just helps for the negate destruction effect with this one. Having 3,000 defense makes for a pretty good defense card as well. But once again, just the 2 ofs, I feel it's a good ratio just all together with the higher level ones to go for the search power and then just the discard power for the ritual, because then all you need is one of the lower level ones set up on the field to use its own ritual play. So just 2 of the Aratron as well for the higher level ones. And then for a little more additional support for the Megalith monsters, I run 3 Manju, the 10,000 hands. You don't have a ritual spell in the deck, so I just mostly use Manju for the ritual monster add, but also being a level 4 helps for some of the exceed plays you could potentially go for with the deck. A big one being summoning out your Gallet Granite, since it searches out rock monsters, which are all of the different Megalith monsters. Being rock, being able to search a particular one definitely does come in handy with Gallet Granite's effect to add a rock monster from your deck to your hand. So 3 Manju also just help for that easy search power. And for the incantation lineup, this is actually a very interesting incantation lineup I decided to go with. I only run 2 Talismandra and 2 Pencil Plume, mostly for the fact Pencil Plume searches, you can reveal 1 ritual monster in your hand to special summon both this card from your hand and 1 incantation from your deck, except Pencil Plume. And Talismandra has the same reveal effect, and when it's special summoned, you add a ritual monster from your deck to your hand. And when Pencil Plume is summoned, you add a ritual monster from your graveyard to your hand. I don't run Candle or the book because they add the spells or focus on the spells, while Pencil Plume and Talismandra only focus on the monster search, which is all you need with the deck, because we don't have a spell card for the Megalith since it's not the main focus. And it's also very helpful because Candle being a level 4 means you at least have the level 9 total to go for attributing for some of the higher level Megalith cards you run in the deck as well. So very, very useful when the numbers rely on that. And to finish off the monsters, just a hand trap spot. I run 2 Effect Veiler. If you want to try Ash Blossom in this spot for cards, or even Nibiru being a rock search as well, you can give that a try. Just an option to stop your opponent's cards. Ash Blossom, Nibiru, Effect Veiler, you name it. It could be any of these spots, even Droll and Lockbird, depending on what you want or what you're playing against at the time. Meta-wise, all around, your locals or places like that. I chose Effect Veiler, but it can just as well be Ash Blossom or any of the other options I gave you. And that is it for the monsters. We'll now move on to the spells. For the field spell, I run 3 Megalith Portal. The first time each ritual summon monster would be destroyed by battle each turn, it is not destroyed. If a Megalith monster is special summoned except during the damage step, you can target 1 ritual monster in your graveyard, add to your hand. You can only use this effect of Megalith Portal once per turn. So the protection effect definitely does come in handy, and when it's special summoned, having recycle power means you definitely want the field spell set up on your field just so you always have resources to get back into your hand to use for your Megalith cards. So 3 of this makes for better odds to open it up, and the 1 terraforming just so you have more search power. You have other Megalith cards that search out the spell and traps, but before you ritual summon, you want to have the card set up anyway, so having this definitely does help for that. And I also run 2 of the new Execution of the Contract. It's an equip spell for a ritual monster. Also, changing the level makes for an easier way, so you don't have to invest all your cards for your ritual plays. And also, when it's tributed while equipped to a monster, you can target one monster your opponent controls and destroy it. So more destruction power, along with the already Megalith cards that have the effects against your opponent. Just 2 of it, though. When I was testing out 3, I noticed I would open this card up a lot, and then just not have enough monsters to go for the tribute play. And I also run 3 preparation of rights. You add a level 7 or lower ritual monster from your deck to your hand. You don't really use the spell part of the effect, but we run plenty of level 4 Megalith rituals to search out with this one, so very, very useful with preparation of rights at 3 for the deck. And I also run 3 Call by the Grave, just, the special summon. You don't want your opponent to effect Veiler or Ghost over your Megalith monsters. It would be a big downside there for sure. So just being able to stop their hand traps with Call by the Grave definitely does come in handy. And to finish off these spells, I run the 1 Pot of Avarice, just the recycle power. I know a lot of effects like the Phaleg rely on the graveyard for the setup, but there are other cards to recycle like Manju, Talismandra, Effect Veiler that can definitely stack up the graveyard or even extra deck monsters, so Pot of Avarice helps for the recycle and just the overall draw power in the deck. And moving on now to the traps. Just for the trap lineup, I run a small Megalith trap lineup, being 2 Megalith Emergence. It's a continuous trap. You can target 1 Megalith monster in your graveyard, special summon it in defense position, but place it on the bottom of the deck when it leaves the field. Just more special summoning options after you get the ritual successful to give you more cards on the field to work with. And the 1 Megalith Promotion, the double level effect of this one is what I love the most about it. Even if this card leaves the field, being another continuous trap, just for that option if you need the more resources to go off of. If you don't want to run this trap, you can always try the 3rd Execution of the Contract, but this one is searchable also since it is a Megalith trap for some of the other ritual plays. And that is it for the main deck. We'll now move on to the extra deck. I run 1 Mrs. Radiant. I thought of running the Charmer monster in this deck as well. If you wanted to run Asa, you can try taking out the Barricade, Board Blocker, just a field spell recycle play with this Link monster if you wish. Also 1 Nightmare Phoenix, 1 Nightmare Cerberus, 1 Cross Sheep with the ritual effect. I really do like this card. I'm seeing it more and more in a lot of my extra decks for all the decks I make, but just because, we run so many different types of extra deck monsters. Also 1 Nightmare Unicorn, 1 Decode Talker, and then for the Exceed monsters, we run a pretty good amount of Exceed monsters since level 4 and 8 are the main focus of the deck. So 1 Gallic Granite, I already spoke, this card is your searcher in the deck, being able to search out or special summon rock monsters onto the field. The search for the rock monster, I'd say, is the best play to go for. It gets you a search you need especially. Also 1 Tornado Dragon, 1 Gaga Cowboy, 1 number 101, 1 Daigusto Morale, 1 number 41 Baguska, and then for the rank 8s, I run 1 number 38 Hope Harbinger Dragon, and 1 number 68 the Sky Prison for the bigger rank 8 Exceed plays. But that is it for the deck profile. I hope you all enjoyed the video. Definitely a fun one to try out, and I would say definitely one of the more budget-friendly decks in total from the newest set. So if you're looking for something cheap and easy to build, definitely one to consider, especially if you're a Ritual fan. But until next time, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe, and Kira Twig out.